Hello everyone. Today we will learn about context API and why we need context API, and then we'll implement our context API in React. So first of all, we'll make, let's say, a folder, and we'll name this file. We'll go to our terminal, we'll say change that to desktop and then to this file, and here we'll say npx create react app / and we hit enter. So this would create our React app, and it installs all the packages required for that. So it would take some time, so we'll wait for that. So it is almost done. So now we'll say npm start, and this will start our development server. And while it is happening, we'll drag our file to VS Code. And we'll go to source app.css, app.test. We'll delete all these files because we do not need them. Index.js, we'll delete this, we'll delete this as well, and we'll delete index.css. We'll save, and here we'll delete all, and we'll create our simple boilerplate. Now we'll test that by going to our Chrome. We'll say localhost 3000, and this should show us app. Now it is compiling, so as per our code, everything is fine. So it should show us some just simple text, which is app. Yes, it's showing us. So that means that our development server is running fine. Now, for understanding the use and need of context API, first of all, we'll have a person1 here, right? Let's say there's a person1.js, and then there is a person2.js. Let's say there are two persons, right? Each have a simple boilerplate which says that I am person1, and this one have a simple boilerplate which is I am person2. Or now let's say that our app, right, in our imaginary scenario, have access to or is a friend of person1, right? Definitely we can access person2 from here, but for understanding context API, we are just imagining that this app have access to person1, right? We'll import that, and here you can see in our browser it says I am person1, right? Now app have access to person1, and let's say person1 have access or is a friend with person2, right? Our person2 is imported here. Now because app has access to person1 and person1 have access to person2, you can see that in app both appear, right? Now let's assume that our app, our main guy, have a constant password which is, let's say, pass123, and he wants to share this password with person2. Now what he can do? Now what he'll do, which is usual way, is that he will pass it through props. from this to person 1, then person 1 will pass to person 2. I'll do it and I'll show how it looks like. Password, we passed password, person 1 would accept it through props and he'll transfer that to person 2 by saying value is equal to props, and person 2 will have access to it through props as well, and here he'll say that I am person 2 and the password is props.value, and he'll hit save. Okay, some problems are here. We'll try to resolve that. Person 2 says props.value. Person 1, okay, we'll have to say props.value here, right? Now you can see that person 2 definitely have access to password, which is password 123, pass123. But what is the problem here? Problem is that app wanted to send the password to person 2, but in this process the password definitely reaches person 2, but person 1 gets hold of the password as well. Now why does person 1 gets hold of that information which was not intended for it, right? Or maybe there are certain other components which are importing other components in them, and through them we reach person 2. Then all these components above person 2 will get access to that information which was not intended for them in first place, right? So to resolve this scenario, context API comes into play. So now we'll see how we can use context API and share information with person 2 without even getting that information to leak to person 1, right? So here we'll say let's say we'll have a constant key is equal to create context, right? We'll say create context, and here we'll delete this because we do not need that now, and here we'll say key dot provider, which comes here. This is necessary, you have to do it, because without this would not work, right? So we'll wrap our person 1 inside key dot provider, and we'll say that value is equal to password, right? And here we'll export this key. So we'll say export key, and we'll say save. Okay, so in person 1 we'll delete the props because we do not need that. We'll delete this as well because we don't need that as well, and we'll hit save. And in person 2, now here our context API comes into play again. So we'll say import key from app, right? And inside this we do not need props, so we'll delete this. We'll delete this as well, first of all. And inside this person 2, we'll say const data is equal to use context. You can see this appears here, and we'll hit enter, and it is imported. And inside this we'll say key, which we have imported from here, right? And for accessing this information, we'll say key here. Sorry, because we have used in that in data, so we'll say data. Okay, and we'll hit save. And if we again refresh, we see that this does not change, right? Person 2 still have access to password PASS123, which was the initial password, but person 1 does not have access to that. Why? Because we used context here and not in person 1. if we would have used that in person 1, and person 1 would get access to that key. So this is how our context API helps us transferring information from one component to another component or to a child component without leaking that information to in between components which do not need that information or which do not have access to that information. So this was for now. Thank you.